everybody would become a Muslim for a week because that was the best food. You know, when Ramadan came around in prison, everybody signed up to become a Muslim for a week just to get the food. They cottoned onto that quite quickly. I did it, you know.
What's a food boat?
It's when 2 or 3 people get together and they use the wages that they earn in prison to buy extra food. So the prison provides food, but it's shit for the most part. British prison food is shit. And even when it's, you know, bacon and eggs, it's not real bacon and eggs. You know, these are the worst bits of bacon and eggs that you can find in. So prisoners get together and they use, you know, so instead of having just £3, if the 4 of us got together, that's what, 3, 6, 9, 12 quid, right? So that's 12 quid worth of food. So that's what a food boat is. People coming together, sharing what they've got, cooking. So you two do the cooking, we do the cleaning. So that's what a food boat is. You share the responsibility.
Oh, can you cook in yourselves?
No, but in these maximum security prisons, they often have sort of kitchenettes where they have facilities that prisoners can cook food. So not all prisons, but some of the prisons that I was in, they had little stoves and things like that. So if you could buy stuff from the canteen, you could order meat in, you could have tins of sardines or mackerel, and together you could, you know, cook something.
And that's any category prisoner that can use that?
Well, that depends because they don't have them in the local prisons. So the prisons where prisoners, you know, it's the revolving door, lots of guys going in doing shorter sentences. And when I say shorter sentences, I'm talking about 12 months to 2 years, and that is considered short sentences.
Fucking hell.
In the bigger sentence prisons, you know, people doing 5 years up,
What's the substitute for knives and stuff?
You had plastic knives and forks. So in my time, you had like a knife and fork, but it was plastic. It was quite tough plastic.
Yeah.
When you're in the kitchen in the maximum security prison, and this again is one of those myths, and I get it a lot when I rock up in my Netflix series and I'm picking up hammers and I'm picking up fucking saws and knives.
Power tools in one of them as well.
In one of the recent episodes, power tools, and they don't go out the wall. But it's one of those myths. They do have access. Prisoners do, you know, they don't pick up knives and just go around stabbing people just because they've got access to knives.
That's exactly what I would have thought.
That is how they show it in film.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not true, is it? What they do is they make knives. If you look at the the Greece episode, you'll see some ingenious weapons that prisoners...
Is that the one with the cross?
With the cross.
Where he pulls out a little shiv from it.
Right, that's what prisoners use. So they don't use the knives that are provided by the prison that you find in the kitchen to cut your meat and not each other. It's those homemade kind of weapons that they try to conceal from the authorities. You know, you saw the one with the cross.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like that, and I've seen some ingenious...
That was impressive.
It was impressive. And then you've got the ones where they just take pieces of metal from a tin, turn it into a blade and just wrap loads of sticky tape around it and stuff like that. So the homemade knives are the dangerous ones, not the ones you find in a kitchen.
Talking of food and the Greece episode, was it the Greece episode?
The Greece had incredible food.
Yeah.
Well, incredible for prison. It was Greece, wasn't it? Where they had all these chicken, like a lot of food. Considering the prison itself had no money going into anything, the food seemed much better than the other prisons.
It's kind of what you do with it, isn't it? It's kind of, if you've got the right ingredients, even the worst food in the world could be made to taste nice. I mean, I've been in some places where, you know, I get told off often, actually. I was in the Ukrainian prison, for example, and the cooks in that prison were very, you know, they were prisoners, and they're very proud of what they were producing. To me, it was disgusting. And a lot of people have given me a hard time about that, sort of saying, you know, did you not see the face of that young man when you kind of went, yeah, that was horrible. He was like cross-fallen, you know, and it's like, well, I didn't realise, I was just being honest. For the most part, prison food is bad. You know, it's minimal. But in some places, the prisoners, like in Greece, I think they do well with it. And sometimes it's the only thing that they do well with.
Which of all the series you've done, is that a word? Series that you've done, what prison had the best food?
That's a tough question, actually, because none of them really have good food. I think you just mentioned the Greece episode. I think the food in there was edible, you know, more than other places. Other places it's minimal. I'm talking rice and, you know, sardines, and that's it. In other places, it's like slosh, really is slosh. And, you know, sometimes this is probably one of the myths that is true when you see these images of slop being put on a prisoner's tray as they move on to the next. Some of it is just real in some of these places, horribly sloshy.
I'm real fussy with food. So even if there's something I like,
I don't think you'd have a choice there.
I'm no longer the weakest person in this prison. I'm not eating this.
I just mean like even if there's something I like, if it's a bit too cold or something, I struggle to eat it.
You'd overcome that when you're in prison,
I bet.
honestly.
Is there? This might be a stupid question.
It's
Christmas.
definitely going to be a stupid question.
Yeah.
If he prefix that, it will be.
Okay, 2 questions. Christmas. Are you getting a little Christmas dinner?
Yes.
Oh, I
They-
didn't expect that, Raph.
You only have to look in the Sun newspaper, and every Christmas they will have a story about prisoners' Christmas menu. Now, what's written down, roast chicken, roast potatoes, or turkey, what it is 2 different things. It sounds good, turkey for Christmas, stuffing, but this is the worst turkey and the worst fucking stuffing you'd ever taste. So there is a Christmas menu, and you might get a bit of black pudding or something like that, but it's minimal. And, they do try to make those efforts. In every prison that I was in at that time of year, you would get a little Christmas menu, which is a slight deviation from what you would normally get every day of the week.
And because you've had such shit for so long, does it then taste well nice?
No, it doesn't taste well nice. It doesn't. Well nice, man. No, it doesn't. It's the same. It's just, kind of jazzed up because it's being called Christmas dinner. It really does come down to the chefs. And most of the chefs in prison are prisoners who just want to get in the kitchen because it's a perk. These are the chubby guys that want that want the job.
Found my job.
How do they deal with vegans and vegetarians? Or...
I think that improved in prisons. They during Ramadan and things like that, everybody would become a Muslim for a week because that was the best food. When Ramadan came around in prison, everybody signed up to become a Muslim for a week just to get the food. They cottoned on to that quite quickly. I did it, they do cater for those that have particular diets. It's probably a lot worse than the normal food, but they do more so now than in my time. They do cater for people with particular diets or health issues, for sure. In fact, they probably get better. There used to be this thing in prison called compound, which is like a protein powder, and it was such a commodity. If you think cigarettes were a sort of commodity in prison in terms of contraband, serving as a means of finance, Complan was one of these things, like a protein powder.
Right.
And because you want to supplement, especially if you're like me and you went to the gym, or you were these guys that did weights or guys that tried to keep fit, you wanted to supplement the poor diet that the prison fed you. And if you didn't have money to buy your own stuff, Complan was an important ingredient that you could buy from prisoners who were on special diets, who would sell it to you, who were getting it because they were suffering from some kind of illness.
Obviously, you mentioned like the food quality is bad. What are the portion sizes like? Because obviously, someone like my size is probably going to want more food than someone
And
half
you're not
my
going to
size.
get it, mate. You're just not going to get it. Which is why you would then try and get yourself into a little food boat, or you would, hang around the guy that doesn't like mashed potato, right up his arse. So as soon as he says no, there you are pushing your way and saying, "I'll have it." Kind of thing. So no, there's no, unless you work in the servery or you have a mate. There's always a way when you have a will.
A guy your size might not be a guy your size that long in prison.
Oh, you were saying I'd lose weight
Yeah.
because I'd be in prison.
I
Yeah,
do
but then
have-
you still see big blokes at prison, don't you?
Do you have many fat prisoners?
Yeah, of course you do.
Do you?
Yeah, of course you
Such
do.
a weird question.
So how can they maintain the weight if they're not getting...
I mean, we're talking about food and everything, but guys can put it in, they can pack it up, and like I say, you can buy extra things if you've got the means. If you've got a family member sending you money, you can buy stuff from the canteen, so bars of chocolate or the kind of other stuff that you would like and would normally buy from a sweet shop or something. So you can stack up yourself with that. And if you're a drug dealer in prison, well, you're doing even better because you can sell a little bit of give 10 bars of chocolate or whatever. So the one image that sticks in my mind of prison, so on the prison bars, so in the cells where you have the bars, obviously, there's sometimes a little ledge, and those ledges would be covered in milk cartons, orange juice, or chocolate bars, where prisoners would be showing off their wealth, and that means that this guy is up to something or not up to something, but somehow they've got more than anybody else. And then you go into some prisoners' cells, and the ledge where the bars are is completely empty, and there you would know the difference between the guy who's being looked after and the guy who's not being looked after.
That's quite a flex, isn't it?
Mm.
It's weird, like how different prison is on the inside. Like flexing on the outside, but flexing in prison is having a few milk cartons on the ledge. Like,
It's the little things that matter. It really is.